advocacy, it has got to be a redundant NOFA and SOFA optic fiber, so that a minimum speed is guaranteed to everybody. From there, it will be wireless. Again, the minimum spectrum bandwidth is required for that.
Very interesting.
And if this NOFA SOFA do not come on time, then we have to take it on the microwave backbone and the microwave accesses. Again, there is a bandwidth. There is a separate spectrum for that. And in the various jungle areas or the remote areas, you will be requiring electricity, which I don't think we get it every time on time, and also the diesel. So from where we will help the government and ourselves and you to obtain the carbon footprints. We won't be having that. So these are the slightly inside issues which I am sure that the government and the operators will take care going forward. Of course, NTP 99 has taken care of the reach as well as the affordability, but for the affordable converged services, NTP 2012 will have that as one of the parts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll come back to you with some insights into some comments you have made. But let me ask Mr. Sood to give his perspective. And he comes from the security background, so I will ask him to give his perspective more from a security. How does he see NTP 2012 from a security, and what are the issues the country is facing from a security perspective? And is there something in NTP 2012 which talks about security and what can be done?
Sure. Thanks. So I would, echo what Mr. Rajan said, that what the policy itself says it lays out some ambitious but also some sort of noble and wise goals, especially in terms of the security requirements. The challenge that many see with that, of course, is whether those are achievable in the kind of timeframes that the policy envisages. The way we look at this is that, of course, security is very, very important, both from a national interest perspective and also from a consumer protection perspective. National interest being, can we sort of safeguard ourselves as a nation state, and the consumer protection aspect being really, are you as an individual user of these services guaranteed some minimum level of, essentially rights around privacy and some sort of guarantee in some sense, both from the government through the regulations and by the operators about what is done with the information that is gathered about you or is available about you. There is also an element here of assisting and sort of cooperating with law enforcement agencies, which again, goes back a little bit to the national interest, but also to internal security within the country. In all of these areas, I believe, I would sort of venture to say that nobody disputes that these are appropriate, at least in principle, they are appropriate requirements. The challenge is really, do we have the capability and the capacity to do all of the things that are being planned? And if we don't, how do we go about building that capability? How do we go about enhancing that capability to be able to do this at a massive scale? Obviously, both for the regulators, for the government, the operators, and the consumers, the relationships are symbiotic. I, as a user of a mobile service, may dislike my current operator and decides to switch numbers, but eventually I have to stay within the realm. I have to get mobile services from some operator within the country. And apart from minor differentiation in the customer experience, broadly, I would expect to receive the same types of services from at least all of the larger entities, the more mature sort of players. So the choice for me is really minimally between the operators rather than, I don't really have a choice about should I or should I not use these services. Similarly, the government has to work with the operators. The operators have to work with the government. No one is in a situation where they can say, I choose to walk away from this, I do not want to participate. So we believe it has to be highly collaborative between all of the different entities, the government, the regulators, the operators themselves, and the individuals. But we do think there is a way forward. We see that the requirements that are placed can definitely be met to a great extent, if not fully. There are already conversations that are taken in the right tone by the regulators in terms of providing clarifications where the operator is seeking those clarifications. We are not yet seeing any substantial relaxation in those requirements, but there's definitely an open ear on the other side. So we think that is all a good story right now.
So, sorry, I'm going to ask you some very pointed questions on the security related issues. And of course, Mr. Rao will have the last word in the first round. But, you know, the government came out with a telecom network audit. It has come out with a requirement. It has come out that the equipment imported has to be tested to make sure, or the telcos have to own up that there are no trapdoors and so on and so forth, which can bring the network down by a foreign power or whatever. Given the capabilities we have in the country, do you think this sort of regulations are doable?
So this is a tricky one, you know, and again, people's opinions on this differ. I cite an example of what is semi-public information now. A few months ago, BSNL, in fact, wrote to the regulator asking for help in identifying somebody who could help them meet these requirements. You know, they mentioned very clearly that they had done the research, they had tried to reach out to many of the impaneled participants of, you know, the ones impaneled by the regulator, but they were really not able to identify anybody who could help them. So yes, that is true. There is a limited amount of knowledge in its, you know, packaged